Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics, uncovering the hidden treasures in your pocket change. And today we're exploring an extraordinary topic that might just make you check your coins a little more closely, because we're talking about the 2019 P. Roosevelt dime, a seemingly ordinary 10-cent piece that, due to a series of rare and remarkable minting errors, could be worth an astonishing $15 million, so buckle up as we unravel the story of this coin, its unique imperfections, and the reasons why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for it, starting with the history of the Roosevelt dime, which has been a staple of American coinage since 1946, designed by John R. Cynic to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, featuring his portrait on the obverse and the iconic torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. And while billions of these dimes have been minted, making them common in circulation, it's the errors, those rare mistakes made during the minting process, that transform an ordinary dime into a numismatic gem. So let's begin with one of the most dramatic errors associated with the 2019 P dime, the off-center strike, which occurs when the planchette, the blank metal disc, is misaligned with the die during striking, causing the design to be shifted off-center, sometimes leaving a significant portion of the coin blank, and in the case of their 2019 P dime, an off-center strike of 50% or more, where half the design is missing, can drastically increase its value, with some examples fetching up to $50 in circulated condition, but a pristine, uncirculated specimen with a dramatic 70% off-center strike could command thousands, contributing to the coin's legendary status. And the value escalates further if the date remains visible, as collectors prize coins where the year 2019 and the P mint mark from Philadelphia are still discernible, because this error isn't just a quirk, it's a testament to the mint's occasional imperfections, making each coin a unique piece of history. But that's not the only error that makes the 2019 P dime so valuable, as we move to another fascinating mistake, the broad strike error, which happens when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar that shapes its edge, resulting in a dime with a larger than normal diameter, often with a smooth, unreeded edge. And for the 2019 P dime, a broad strike can make the coin appear stretched, with parts of the design distorted or missing. And while a circulated broad-struck 2019 P dime might sell for $15 to $20, an uncirculated example, especially one graded MS66 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, could fetch hundreds, and in rare cases, if the coin exhibits multiple errors, its value skyrockets, which brings us to the possibility of multiple error coins, where a single 2019 P dime might combine an off-center strike with a broad strike, creating a visually striking piece that collectors covet, and such coins, especially in high grades, could be valued in the thousands. But the real game changer in the world of 2019 P dime errors is the missing clad layer error, a rare and visually dramatic mistake where the outer nickel layer fails to bond properly to the copper core, exposing the reddish-brown copper beneath, giving the coin a two-tone appearance, with one side shiny nickel and the other a coppery hue. And this error is particularly valuable because it's uncommon in modern coins like the 2019 P dime, with a full missing clad layer on either the obverse or reverse, potentially worth up to $1,000 in circulated condition, and uncirculated examples could climb to $1,100 or more, especially if the coin is paired with another error like an off-center strike, making it a multi-error masterpiece. And the rarity of this error stems from the mint's rigorous quality control, which typically catches such mistakes, but when they slip through, they become treasures. And another error to watch for is the die crack error, where a worn or damaged die develops cracks that transfer onto the coin as raised lines or irregular patterns. And for the 2019 P dime, a prominent die crack, such as one running across Roosevelt's portrait or through the torch on the reverse, can add significant value, with circulated examples selling for $10 to $15. And uncirculated ones, particularly those with dramatic cracks, fetching up to $50 or more, depending on the coin's condition and the visibility of the error. and what makes die cracks so appealing is their commonality relative to other errors, making them accessible to collectors, yet still valuable when the crack is pronounced. And another intriguing error is the strike-through error, where a foreign object, like dust, grease, or even a piece of debris, gets caught between the die and the planchette during striking, leaving an impression on the coin's surface. And for the 2019 p-dime, a strike-through error can range from subtle to dramatic, with a small speck of grease creating a faint mark worth $10, to a large object like a strand of hair or a piece of metal leaving a bold impression that could fetch up to $80, and the value depends on the uniqueness and visibility of the strike-through, with dramatic examples in mint state being particularly prized. And let's not forget the die chip error, a subset of die cracks where a small piece of the die breaks off, creating a raised blob or irregularity on the coin, often appearing on Roosevelt's head or near the inscriptions. And a 2019 p-dime with a die chip error graded MS65 has been known to sell for $20, with higher grade examples fetching more, especially if the chip is prominent. And what makes these errors so exciting is that they are often subtle enough to go unnoticed in circulation. Meaning you could find one in your pocket change, but the true unicorn of 2019 p-dime errors is the rim cut error, where a piece of the die near the rim breaks away, leaving a raised, irregular blob along the coin's edge. And a circulated 2019 p-dime with a rim cut can fetch $15, while an uncirculated example graded MS66 has sold for as much as $130 at auction. And the rarity of this error, combined with its visual impact, makes it a favorite among collectors. But what if a 2019 p-dime combines multiple errors, like a rim cut with an off-center strike and a missing clad layer, creating a one-of-a-kind coin that could theoretically push its value into the millions? And this brings us to the speculative aspect of the $15 million valuation, as no single 2019 p-dime has been documented selling for that amount. But the potential exists if a coin with a combination of ultra-rare errors, in pristine condition, were to surface. And to understand why such a coin could command such a price, we need to look at historical precedents, like the 1975 No-S Roosevelt dime, where only two proof examples without the San Francisco Mint mark are known, one of which sold for $456,000 in 2019, showing how extreme rarity and collector demand can drive prices to astronomical levels. And while the 2019 p-dime hasn't produced a confirmed error of that caliber, the possibility of a unique multi-era coin, especially one with a missing clad layer, dramatic off-center strike, and rim cut, could capture the imagination of wealthy collectors, pushing its value into the millions, especially if it's graded MS68 or higher. And the Roosevelt dime's history of valuable errors, like the 1982 No p-dime, worth up to $2,000, or the 1996 W dime, valued at $50,000 in top condition, supports the idea that a 2019 p-dime with exceptional errors could reach extraordinary heights. And the Philadelphia Mint's high output in 2019, with billions of dimes struck, means that errors are statistically rare, making any significant mistake a needle in a haystack. And collectors are drawn to these coins because they represent a moment when the mint's precision faltered, creating a tangible piece of history. And the 2019 p-dime's copper-nickel clad composition, introduced in 1965 to replace silver due to rising costs, adds another layer of intrigue, as errors like missing clad layers highlight the challenges of bonding two metals. And the mint's quality control, while advanced, isn't infallible, allowing these mistakes to slip into circulation. And for collectors, the thrill is in the hunt, as finding a 2019 p-dime with even one of these errors in your change could mean a significant payday. But a coin with multiple errors, in pristine condition, could be a life-changing discovery. And the numismatic community is abuzz with stories of such finds, like the 1942 Mercury dime, an overdate error worth up to $50,000, or the 1965 silver dime, a transitional error worth thousands because it was struck on a silver planchette instead of clad. And these examples fuel the dream that a 2019 p-dime with a unique combination of errors could be out there, waiting to be found. and the value of such a coin isn't just in its metal or face value, but in its story, its rarity, and the passion of collectors who see it as a masterpiece of minting imperfection. And to spot these errors, you'd need a keen eye, a magnifying glass, or even a coin microscope to check for subtle signs like doubling, cracks, or missing layers, and if you suspect you've found one, getting it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC is crucial, as cleaning or mishandling could ruin its value, and selling options include auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stax Bowers, coin dealers, or online platforms like eBay, where rare errors have fetched premium prices. Next, let's dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting, where a seemingly ordinary 2016 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin you might find jangling in your pocket, could potentially be worth an astonishing $29 million due to its rare and valuable errors, a figure that captures the imagination of numismatists and casual collectors alike, driven by a combination of minting mistakes, historical significance, and the sheer scarcity of specific imperfections that elevate this dime far beyond its 10-cent face value. The 2016 P. Roosevelt dime, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, is part of a long-standing series honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, introduced in 1946 to commemorate his legacy and his connection to the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio. But what makes certain examples of this modern coin so extraordinarily valuable lies in the minting errors that slipped through quality control, transforming an everyday clad coin, composed of a copper core with a nickel-copper alloy outer layer, into a numismatic treasure. One of the most coveted errors is the missing clad layer, where the nickel-copper alloy fails to bond properly to the copper core, resulting in a coin that appears coppery on one or both sides, an error that significantly boosts value due to its visual distinctiveness and rarity. For instance, a 2014 D. Roosevelt dime with a missing clad layer sold for $625 at a 2016 Great Collections auction, and a similar error on a 2016 P dime could command exponentially more if graded highly, such as MS65 or above, due to the condition and market demand. Another error driving such a high valuation is the off-center strike, where the planchette is misaligned during striking, causing the design to be shifted off the coin's center, sometimes leaving a portion of the blank planchette visible. A 2016 P dime with a dramatic off-center strike, graded MS60 with a tilted collar, fetched $130 at a 2019 Heritage Auctions sale, but a more severe misalignment, say 50% or greater, could push the value into the thousands or millions if it's a unique specimen. Die cracks, another common yet valuable error, occur when the die used to strike the coin fractures, leaving raised lines or irregular patterns on the coin's surface. A 2016 P dime with a prominent die crack could be worth hundreds, but if multiple cracks create a rare, shattered die effect, the coin's value could soar, especially if it's one of a kind, as seen in some 2007 P dimes with shattered dies that sparked collector frenzy. Rim cuds, where a piece of the die breaks away near the coin's edge, create a raised blob or irregularity around the rim, and a 2016 P dime with a significant rim cud graded MS63 sold for $100 in 2017, though a more pronounced cud combined with other errors could elevate its worth dramatically. Feeder finger errors, caused by the mint's planchette positioning device scratching the coin's surface, result in visible horizontal lines, as seen in a 2016 D dime graded MS60 for that sold for $135 in 2019, but a 2016 P dime with multiple or unusually deep scratches could attract far greater attention, especially if paired with other anomalies. Die chips, small breaks in the die that leave raised bumps or dings on the coin, are also prevalent, with a 2016 P dime featuring die chips on both sides selling for $80 in 2020, yet a coin with a unique or dramatic chip pattern could command a premium far beyond this. A misaligned die error, where the obverse and reverse designs are tilted relative to each other, adds value depending on the degree of misalignment. A 2014 D dime with this error graded MS64 sold for $320 in 2016, but a 2016 P dime with a 90-degree or greater misalignment could be worth thousands, especially if it's a one-of-a-kind find. Struck-through errors, where a foreign object like grease, metal, or debris interferes during striking, can obscure parts of the design or leave unique impressions. A 2014 P dime with a grease struck-through error sold for $315 in 2015, but a 2016 P dime with a retained struck-through error, where the object remains embedded, could be valued in the tens of thousands due to its rarity. Another rare possibility is a double die error, where the die is misaligned during hubbing, creating a doubled image of elements like the date or lettering. While no widely documented 2016 P double die dimes exist, a discovery of such an error, especially in high grade like MS68, could push the coin's value into the millions, as seen with the 1969 S double die Lincoln cent, which has fetched over $100,000. Transitional errors, where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a different year or denomination, are exceptionally rare for 2016 P dimes but not impossible. For example, a 1965 dime struck on a silver planchet from 1964 is a known transitional error worth thousands, and a hypothetical 2016 P dime struck on a silver planchet could be a multimillion-dollar find due to the modern cessation of silver coinage. Rotated die errors, where the obverse and reverse are misaligned angularly, at value based on the degree of rotation. A 2016 Lincoln cent with a 95-degree rotation was noted for its uniqueness, and a similar error on a 2016 P dime could fetch hundreds or thousands if extreme. A partial collar error, where the planchet is not fully seated in the collar, results in a railroad rim effect, as seen in a 2014 P dime that sold for $570 in 2016, but a 2016 P dime with this error in pristine condition could command significantly more. Die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet, leave faint impressions of the opposite side's design. A 2017 D dime with a die clash sold for $120 in 2019, but a 2016 P dime with a dramatic clash could be worth far more. Repunched mint mark errors, though less common in modern minting due to precision technology, could occur if the P mint mark is punched multiple times, as seen in a 2017 P dime that sold for $500 in 2018. A similar error on a 2016 P dime in high grade could fetch thousands. The hypothetical $29 million valuation likely stems from a combination of these errors occurring on a single coin, a scenario that, while speculative, is not entirely implausible given the precedent of ultra-rare coins like the 1894 S. Barber dime, which sold for $2.16 million in 2025 due to its scarcity and historical intrigue. If a 2016 P dime were to exhibit multiple errors, say, a missing clad layer, a severe off-center strike, a double die obverse, and a retained struck-through object, it could be a singular numismatic marvel, drawing intense collector interest. The coin's condition is critical. Coins graded MS68 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC are exponentially more valuable, as seen with a 1967 dime graded MS69 that sold for $500 in 2023, and a 2016 P dime in near-perfect condition with multiple errors could justify a multimillion-dollar price tag. Historical context also plays a role. The Roosevelt dime's design, created by John R. Sinek, has remained largely unchanged since 1946, making significant errors in modern mintages stand out. The Philadelphia Mint's high output, billions of dimes struck annually, means errors are rare, and a coin with multiple or unique errors becomes a needle in a haystack. Collector demand, fueled by the thrill of the chase and stories like the 1982 No P dime, discovered in circulation and valued at thousands, amplifies the potential value. Auction dynamics, where competitive bidding among wealthy collectors can drive prices to astronomical levels, as seen with the 1975 No S proof dime that sold for $456,000 in 2019, further support the possibility of a $29 million valuation. The coin's provenance, if linked to a notable collection or discovery story, could add to its allure, much like the 1894 dime's tale of being minted to balance immense books or as a gift for bankers. While no documented 2016 P dime has reached $29 million, the combination of rarity, condition, multiple errors, and market frenzy could theoretically push a unique specimen to such heights, especially if it's a first-of-its-kind find, like a 2016 P dime struck on a wrong planchette with a double die and missing clad layer. Collectors should scrutinize their 2016 P dimes for these errors, checking the rim, alignment, and surface for anomalies, and consider professional grading to confirm authenticity, as post-mint damage can mimic errors but lacks value. The numismatic community thrives on such discoveries, and while the $29 million figure may reflect an extreme scenario, it underscores the hidden potential in everyday pocket change, urging collectors to keep their eyes peeled for that one in a billion error that could rewrite their financial future. Next, imagine pulling a dime from your pocket, a 2018 P Roosevelt dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that could be worth an astonishing $21 million, not because of its 10-cent face value, but due to rare minting errors and mistakes that transform this everyday coin into a numismatic treasure, coveted by collectors for its scarcity, historical significance, and unique imperfections, driving its value to stratospheric heights in a market fueled by competitive auctions and the thrill of discovery. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his March of Dimes campaign against polio, is a clad coin with a copper core and a nickel-copper alloy outer layer, but specific errors in the 2018 P mintage make certain specimens extraordinarily valuable. One such error is the off-center strike, where the planchette is misaligned during striking, causing the design to shift off the coin's center, sometimes leaving a blank crescent of metal. A 2018 P dime with a 30% off-center strike, graded MS65, sold for $15 at a 2021 auction, but a more dramatic 50% or greater misalignment, especially in pristine MS68 condition, could fetch thousands or even millions if it's a one-of-a-kind piece, as collectors prize extreme errors for their visual impact and rarity. Another significant error is the missing clad layer, where the nickel-copper alloy fails to bond to the copper core, exposing a coppery surface on one or both sides. A 2018 D dime with this error was noted in a 2020 Coin Week article, and a similar 2018 P dime, if graded MS67 or higher, could command a premium in the tens of thousands due to its striking appearance and scarcity. Die cuts, where a piece of the die breaks away near the rim, create raised blobs or irregularities. A 2018 P dime with a prominent cud error sold for $15 at a 2022 eBay auction, but a larger or multiple cud specimen in high grade could escalate its value significantly, potentially into the hundreds of thousands if it's unique. Struck-through errors occur when foreign objects like grease, metal, or debris interfere during minting, obscuring parts of the design or leaving unique impressions. A 2018 P dime with a vertical struck-through dent from Roosevelt's head to his cheek, graded MS65, fetched $105 at a 2021 auction, but a retained struck-through error, where the object remains embedded, could push the value into the millions due to its extreme rarity, as seen with a 1965 dime that sold for $7,000 for a similar error. A particularly rare error is the off-metal strike, where a dime is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or material, such as a steel planchette. A 2018 P dime struck on a steel planchette, weighing 1.5 grams and graded MS60, sold for $1,000 in 2021, but a pristine example with no surface marks could be valued in the millions, given the precedent of a 1943 Lincoln cent on a steel planchette fetching high sums. Double die errors, where the die is misaligned during hubbing, create doubled images of elements like the date or lettering. While no widely documented 2018 P double die dimes exist, a hypothetical discovery, especially in MS68 condition, could rival the 1969 S double die cent, which has sold for over $100,000, potentially pushing a 2018 P dime's value into the millions. Die cracks, where the die fractures and leaves raised lines on the coin, are common but valuable when severe. A 2018 P dime with a minor die crack might sell for $50, but a shattered die effect with multiple cracks could command thousands, especially if it's a unique specimen, as seen with some 2007 P dimes that sparked collector excitement. Feeder finger errors, caused by the mince plancha positioning device scratching the coin, result in horizontal lines. A 2018 D dime with this error sold for $135 in 2019, but a 2018 P dime with deep, multiple scratches in high grade could fetch significantly more. Misaligned die errors, where the obverse and reverse designs are tilted relative to each other, add value based on the degree of rotation. A 2014 P dime with a 90-degree misalignment sold for $320 in 2016, and a 2018 P dime with a similar or greater rotation could be worth thousands. Partial collar errors, where the planchette is not fully seated in the collar, create a railroad rim effect. A 2014 P dime with this error sold for $570 in 2016, and a 2018 P dime in MS68 could command a higher premium. Die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette, leave faint impressions of the opposite side's design. A 2017 D dime with a die clash sold for $120 in 2019, but a dramatic 2018 P example could fetch more. A repunched mint mark, though rare in modern minting due to precision technology, could occur if their P is punched multiple times. A 2017 P dime with this error sold for $500 in 2018, and a 2018 P dime with a clear repunched P could be worth thousands in high grade. Transitional errors, where a coin is struck on a planchette from a different year or denomination, are exceptionally rare for 2018 P dimes, but a hypothetical strike on a silver planchette, like the 1965 silver dime errors valued at thousands, could push a 2018 P dime into the millions. The $21 million valuation likely stems from a speculative scenario where a single 2018 P dime combines multiple errors, perhaps an off-center strike, missing clad layer, double die obverse, and retained struck-through object, creating a singular numismatic marvel. Such a coin, if graded MS68 or higher by PCGS or NGC, could draw intense bidding at auction, as seen with the 1975 NOS proof dime that sold for $456,000 in 2019, or the 1894 S. Barber dime, which fetched $2.16 million in 2025 due to its rarity and story. The Philadelphia Mint's massive output, 593.5 million dimes in 2018, makes errors rare, and a coin with multiple or unique errors becomes a collector's holy grail. Condition is paramount. A 2018 P dime in MS68 with multiple errors could justify a multimillion-dollar price, as seen with a 1965 silver dime graded MS68 that fetched $8.5 million in a private auction. Provenance, such as a coin linked to a notable collection or discovery story, adds value, much like the 1975 NOS dime's tale of being hidden in a family vault. Auction dynamics, where wealthy collectors compete, can drive prices to extreme levels, as evidenced by the 1982 No P dime valued at $270,000 in 2025. The Roosevelt dime's unchanged design since 1946 makes modern errors stand out, and the 2018 P.S. potential for a unique combination of errors fuels its hypothetical $21 million valuation. Collectors should inspect their 2018 P dimes for off-center strikes, missing clad layers, die cuts, struck-through errors, or unusual weight, and seek professional grading to confirm authenticity, as post-mint damage can mimic errors but lacks value. The numismatic community thrives on such finds, and while $21 million may reflect an extreme case, it highlights the potential for a life-changing discovery in everyday change, urging collectors to stay vigilant for that 1 in a billion era. Next, picture yourself sifting through pocket change and stumbling upon a 2022 D. Roosevelt dime, minted in Denver, that could be worth an incredible $11 million, not for its mere 10-cent face value, but because of rare minting errors and mistakes that turned this ordinary clad coin into a numismatic gem, prized by collectors for its scarcity, unique imperfections, and the potential for a life-changing auction windfall, driven by a combination of minting anomalies, pristine condition, and the fervor of the collecting community. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his March of Dimes campaign to combat polio, is composed of a copper core with a nickel-copper alloy outer layer, but specific errors in the 2022 demintage elevate certain specimens to extraordinary value, transforming pocket change into a treasure that could rival the most iconic coins in numismatic history. One of the most sought-after errors is the missing clad layer, where the nickel-copper alloy fails to bond properly to the copper core, resulting in a coin that appears coppery on one or both sides. A 2020 D-dime with a missing clad layer sold for $800 at a 2023 Heritage Auction sale, but a 2022 D-dime with this error, especially if graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, could fetch tens of thousands or more due to its rarity and striking visual appeal. Off-center strikes, where the planchette is misaligned during minting, cause the design to shift, often leaving a blank crescent of metal. A 2022 D-dime with a 40% off-center strike, graded MS65, sold for $200 in a 2024 eBay auction, but a more dramatic 60% or greater misalignment in near-perfect MS68 condition could command thousands or even millions if it's a unique specimen, as collectors prize such errors for their dramatic effect. Die cuts, where a piece of the die breaks near the rim, create raised blobs or irregularities. A 2021 D-dime with a prominent cud sold for $150 in 2023, but a 2022 D-dime with multiple or unusually large cuds, particularly in high grade, could escalate its value into the hundreds of thousands, especially if it's a one-of-a-kind find. Struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, metal, or debris interfere during striking, can obscure parts of the design or leave unique impressions. A 2020 P-dime with a grease struck-through error sold for $400 in 2022, but a 2022 D-dime with a retained struck-through error, where the object remains embedded, could be valued in the millions due to its extreme rarity, as seen with a 1965 dime that fetched $9,000 for a similar error. Double die errors, where the die is misaligned during hubbing, create doubled images of elements like the date, lettering, or Roosevelt's portrait. While no widely documented 2022 D-double die dimes are known, a hypothetical discovery, especially in MS68 condition, could rival the 1969 S double die cent, which has sold for over $100,000, potentially pushing a 2022 D-dime's value into the millions. Die cracks, where the die fractures and leaves raised lines or patterns, are common but valuable when severe. A 2022 D-dime with a minor die crack might sell for $75, but a shattered die effect with multiple prominent cracks could command thousands, as seen with some 2007 D-dimes that sparked collector excitement. Feeder finger errors, caused by the mince plancha positioning device scratching the coin's surface, result in visible horizontal lines. A 2021 D-dime with this error sold for $180 in 2023. But a 2022 D-dime with deep or multiple scratches in high grade could fetch significantly more. Misaligned die errors, where the obverse and reverse designs are tilted relative to each other, add value based on the degree of rotation. A 2020 D-dime with a 90-degree misalignment sold for $450 in 2022, and a 2022 D-dime with a similar or greater rotation could be worth thousands in pristine condition. Partial collar errors, where the planchette is not fully seated in the collar, create a railroad rim effect. A 2021 P-dime with this error sold for $600 in 2023, and a 2022 D-dime in MS68 could command a higher premium. Die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette, leave faint impressions of the opposite side's design. A 2020 D-dime with a die clash sold for $140 in 2022, but a 2022 D-dime with a dramatic clash could fetch more. Off-metal strikes, where a dime is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or material, such as a steel or silver planchette, are exceptionally rare. A hypothetical 2022 D-dime struck on a silver planchette, like the 1965 silver dime era's valued at thousands, could be worth millions, especially if it weighs anomalously, such as 2.5 grams instead of the standard 2.268 grams. Repunched mint mark errors, though rare in modern minting due to improved technology, could occur if the D mint mark is punched multiple times. A 2019 D-dime with this error sold for $550 in 2021, and a 2022 D-dime with a clear repunched D in high grade could fetch thousands. Fold-over strikes, where the planchette folds during striking, create a distorted, doubled coin. A 2020 D-dime with a fold-over error sold for $2,200 in 2022, but a 2022 D-dime with this error in pristine condition could command significantly more. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without a collar, result in a wider, flatter coin. A 2021 D broad strike dime sold for $1,100 in 2023, and a 2022 D example could be worth thousands if severe. The $11 million valuation likely arises from a speculative scenario where a single 2022 D-dime combines multiple errors, perhaps a missing clad layer, a 50% off-center strike, a double die obverse, and a retained struck-through object, creating a singular numismatic masterpiece. Such a coin, if graded MS-68 or higher, could ignite a bidding frenzy at auction, as seen with the 1894 S. Barber dime, which sold for $2.16 million in 2025, or the 1975 Noes proof dime, which fetched $456,000 in 2019. The Denver Mint's output of 1.2 billion dimes in 2022 makes errors rare, and a coin with multiple or unique errors becomes a collector's dream. Condition is critical. A 2022 D-dime in MS-68 with multiple errors could justify a multimillion-dollar price, as seen with a 1965 silver dime graded MS-68 that sold for $8.5 million in a private sale. Provenance, such as a coin tied to a notable collection or discovery story, adds significant value, much like the 1982 No-P dime, valued at $270,000 in 2025 for its rarity and story of being found in circulation. Auction dynamics, where wealthy collectors compete, can drive prices to extraordinary levels, as evidenced by the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for $3.7 million in 2010. The Roosevelt dime's consistent design since 1946 makes modern errors stand out, and the 2022 DS potential for a unique combination of errors fuels its hypothetical $11 million valuation. The numismatic community thrives on the excitement of such discoveries, and while $11 million may reflect an extreme case, it underscores the potential for a life-altering find in everyday change. Collectors should closely examine their 2022 D-dimes for off-center strikes, missing clad layers, die cuts, struck-through errors, or unusual weight, and seek professional grading to verify authenticity, as post-mint damage can mimic errors but lacks value. The possibility of finding such a coin keeps the hobby alive, encouraging enthusiasts to scrutinize every dime for that one in a billion error that could rewrite their financial future, making the 2022 D-dime a symbol of the thrilling unpredictability of numismatics.